Prime Minister is going to lay out his vision to Parliament later. Crucially, though, he's expected to give a bit of a sense of where he's going to make cuts to public spending. That is crucial, isn't it, Stephen?
Yeah, 50 billion euros being the key amount that Manuel Valls will have to target in the coming days. In fact, he's going to have to decide where to make those cuts. We won't get the full details of where the axe will be swung for another 2 weeks. But we are expecting Manuel Valls, the new Prime Minister, to give us some idea of at least where his priorities are when it comes to public spending. Those cuts not necessary just to bring down France's budget deficit. It's currently over the EU-mandated 3%, but also to fund the President's so-called Responsibility Pact. This is the idea of cutting taxes to businesses to help them create jobs. Those tax cuts have to come funded from somewhere. Now, we do have some idea of where may be targeted by those cuts. Delano de Souza has been sifting through the details for us.
French Finance Minister Michel Sapin promised tough and brave decisions ahead. In January, French President François Hollande pledged budget cuts of 50 billion euros, and now his government must deliver.
The bulk of public spending is on social security, particularly on health. We can do better and with less money.
Social Security may see a cut of 23 billion euros. Hospitals will likely be restructured and generic drugs encouraged. Local authorities could face cuts of 10 billion euros. To ease this burden, the sharing of local services between communities will likely be pushed. The public sector may also have its budget trimmed by 17 billion. To cut costs, state agencies could be expected to merge, and an ongoing freeze on civil service pay will likely see a 2-year extension, something unions say is unacceptable.
The freeze of salaries for civil servants has been on for 4 years. For us, there's no question of there being a 5th year. I firmly say it's enough.
Prime Minister Manuel Valls is expected to announce details on the government spending cuts on Tuesday, while major announcements are planned for next week.
Let's move on to take a look at the markets now. It's been a pretty torrid couple of days for technology stocks, prompting fears that a bubble in the sector might be about to burst. Now let's take a look at a couple of these well-known stocks. You can see the falls that have happened there over the past week. Twitter, Facebook and Netflix all down pretty significantly, it has to be said, over that time. Things were starting to stabilise on the American markets on trading on Monday, but it's certain that investor confidence, particularly in that sector, has taken a hit. There had been fears of a tech bubble, and certainly it looks like people are taking their money out before that bubble might burst. The tech-heavy Nasdaq, you can see they're down over 1%. The other markets suffering pretty badly too. Apple, Google and Yahoo among the shares falling on Monday. Over in Asia today, tech stocks not doing too great again, but the Bank of Japan being the main issue, moving shares certainly on the Nikkei in Tokyo anyway. It had been down a little bit further, but the bank has decided to stick to its plan of increasing monetary stimulus, saying the world's third largest economy is continuing to recover moderately. Of course, it's an important, arrow in the plan by the Japanese government to help things in the Japanese economy. Shares recovering slightly down, just 0.2% there.
Now we're going to have a look at some companies' news now, starting with some disappointing news for Samsung.
Yeah, it seems those Samsung selfies like the one at the Oscars haven't had much of an effect on the smartphone maker's earnings. It says operating profits will be less than $8 billion in the first quarter, which will be down on the same period last year. It'll be the second quarter of falling profits at the South Korean firm. Samsung's counting on its new Galaxy S smartphone, which goes on sale globally this Friday, to boost its earnings. Citigroup has agreed to pay over $1.1 billion to settle claims from investors over mortgage-backed securities. The investment bank says the deal will mean it won't have to buy back the $60 billion in mortgages they'd sold off in the run-up to the financial crisis. Citigroup is among a group of banks which have paid fines to US regulators for deceiving investors about the quality of the investments. And the British supermarket chain Asda is to create up to 12,000 jobs over the next 5 years. Walmart, which owns Asda, said it will be the opening stores in the south of the UK. The company currently employs 172,000 people in Britain.
Now, finally for you, a chance to own a piece, rather, of the highly iconic figure that is David Hasselhoff.
fans in the most unusual places, Mr.
Does he?
Hasselhoff has. Yes,
Okay.
in the gallery being one.
In the gallery, as producer Carolina is a bit of a flutter with this story. isn't
But
she?
yeah, I think that was mainly to do with Baywatch, of course, which is what people know David Hasselhoff for
Yeah.
best. Then he's also, of course, the star of Knight Rider, which you may also remember. He's raided his attic for a couple of key moments. This, you can see there, a particularly iconic one. This was a replica of him that was made for the children's show SpongeBob SquarePants. It's about 3.6 metres long and a bit terrifying, if you ask me. But among the other things sold, that's his guitar. You can see there, there's memorabilia from Baywatch. That's the front of Knight Rider. It's the front of Kit the car. Also for sale, all part of a charity auction being contributed to by David Hasselhoff. He said that for himself it was an opportunity to do a bit of a spring clean. Let's take a listen.
But we decided to get together with Julian's because I have so much stuff. And, it was either, put it in the attic or put it in a restaurant or give it to somebody who really wants it, and raise a little money for the Starlight Foundation, which is a great foundation.
I'm not sure which one of those two is more scary. I just love your words along the bottom there, Stephen. A hoffle lot of stuff.
You can never have enough David Hasselhoff puns.
You can't.
I
That
feel.
was fantastic. All right, the big Hoff on Postman Cat. Time for today's web news now. Begins today with an incredible story, actually, of a party which got rather out of control in the US.
Hundreds of drunk students tearing down street signs, rocking cars and smashing windows. Strong clashes with police who were forced to use tear gas to try and break up the crowd and regain control of the situation. These astonishing scenes were filmed in Isla Vista, California on Saturday night after a huge spring break party degenerated into violence. Numerous accounts have appeared online over the weekend. In addition to the countless documents attesting to the confrontations between students and police and the damage caused to the community of Isla Vista, there are also photos posted by partygoers keen to immortalise their presence at the scene. Despite the rioting and destruction going on around them, some took a moment to take what they call a riot selfie, shots that generally feature a backdrop of a police line or tear gas smoke. But many weren't finding it quite so amusing the next day. And as we can see in these photos shared on social networks, woke up on Sunday with some painful reminders of the previous night. We see the marks left on their bodies by rubber bullets fired by police trying to restore order, and the irritated and bloodshot eyes that were exposed to tear gas. Mozilla concluded its announcement last Thursday that Brendan Eich, named CEO of the US firm on March 24th, had resigned with the words, "We're sorry, we must do better." The news comes after significant criticism of his support in 2008 of a legal measure banning gay marriage in California. The man himself, also the co-founder of Mozilla, confirmed the news on his blog. He thanked all those who supported him throughout his career and made no mention of the controversy surrounding his departure. A number of Mozilla employees have taken to Twitter hailing the news. Some have replaced their profile picture with the name of the company embedded in a red heart. They say they're proud to work for Mozilla, even if the days leading up to Brendan Eich's resignation have been somewhat difficult. Some had even called for the Mozilla CEO's departure via the microblogging platform. And users of the Firefox web browser had also joined the campaign, uninstalling the software, heeding the calls for boycott launched by online dating site OkCupid. But not everyone is welcoming the news. There have been thousands of messages posted to the Firefox input platform, with people saying the former CEO's freedom of expression has been violated, and in turn are now calling for a boycott of Firefox. When proud mum Tara Taylor posted this photo of her daughter Riley to Facebook, she picked up life-changing advice. A family friend thought the glow in one of her eyes looked suspicious and urged the mother to get it looked at. Precious advice, because Riley was diagnosed with Coates disease, a rare condition that causes blindness in one eye, caused by abnormal development of blood vessels behind the retina. The early intervention and treatment has saved the little girl's eyesight. Portland Communications has analysed the tweets posted in Africa over the past 3 months of 2013 to produce this infographic, which shows us, amongst other things, that South Africa's Johannesburg leads the African continent in Twitter usage, ahead of Cairo in Egypt and Nairobi in Kenya. The majority of messages are written in English. Many feature football. Yes, that was the most popular topic of discussion on the social network, ahead of Nelson Mandela. With Google Street View, you can now take a virtual visit around Cambodia's Angkor Wat. The 12th century World Heritage Site has been digitally mapped for the first time, meaning in just a few clicks, you can take a closer look at the 100 or so temples, cultural and architectural treasures of the Khmer Empire. Jonas Ginter from Germany filmed the same scene using 6 GoPro cameras and then pieced the frames together to create the illusion he was moving around on a tiny planet of his own. Astonishing work that you can check out on the budding filmmaker's Vimeo page.
Yeah, we like that. We decided it makes you feel a bit car sick, but it looks good, doesn't it? Coming up, the very latest news, of course, here on France 24. And today in Focus, we're going to be reporting on one of the knock-on effects of the Rwandan genocide 20 years ago. We're with the 2 million Hutus who fled the country to neighbouring Democratic Republic of Congo. We're going to be meeting the militiamen who are the self-proclaimed defenders of Hutu refugees. That's in the next half hour.